Sam Avery, how are you, mate?
I'm very good, thanks, Les.
Good to
How are
see
you?
I'm very good. Here we are, the day before lockdown.
Yeah.
We were planning this amazing show this Saturday for Doddy Day.
It's going to be amazing. We're going to have so much going on this very stage with a great socially distanced audience in the room, but obviously we can't do that, unfortunately.
2 tickling sticks apart they were going to be.
2 tickling sticks apart.
But we're not going to let it get us down.
Not at all, because if anything else, now is the time we need more happiness than ever before.
Yeah.
So we were really keen to make sure we did stuff for Doddy Day and kept celebrating the legacy of Ken.
It's really exciting for me. Every time I walk onto this stage, I get a thrill, because my first theatre experience when I was 9 years old, I wasn't on the stage, I was up there in the gods with my mum, my dad, our Ken, our Mandy and our Marg.
Wow.
They bought us tickets to come and see a show. The first variety show I ever saw, which was, do you know what it was?
What was it?
It was the Ken Dodd Laughter Show.
Wow.
So I saw for the first time this amazing man with this wild hair and these teeth, and by Jove, missus, how tickled I am. Have you ever been tickled? They can't touch you for it.
Stood right there.
Stood right here. I was up there going, wow, that is amazing. That's what I want to do. And that's what we're going to do today, isn't it? We are going to still carry on. COVID isn't going to beat us, is it?
Nothing's going to stop us, because he was one of a kind, and I think what we wanted to do with today was really celebrate the legacy of Sir Ken Dodd, because he had this massive impact on so many people, people who came to watch him, other comedians as well, and we'll be hearing from some of them in just a while. We've also got a jam butty cake competition, which is very exciting. We've got an incredibly serious joke competition. We'll be hearing some of the jokes that people have been sending in from that.
Well, Ken always said that you can tell a joke in Liverpool and they won't laugh in Manchester.
Yes,
they can't hear you. By Jove! Who have we got first?
Well, it's amazing the amount of contributors that we've got for this, because the esteem that Ken was held in by his peers was just unmatched, and we've been really lucky to speak to people like Ricky Tomlinson, Harry Hill, Lee Mack, Tim Vine, Miriam Margolyes. I've said their name wrong. That's okay. We'll edit that out.
It was an anagram.
Yeah. All these amazing people.
I'm the only one together.
I don't know. Yeah. They didn't have your number. Sorry, Les. And we're going to be having a look at them clips. So without further ado, let's have a look at what some of these great comedians have got to say about the Squire of Notty Ash.
They can't touch you for it.
To me, without a shadow of a doubt, he was the best comedian the world has ever seen. And sometimes I cringe when I watch young comics on the television saying who was the best comedian and who wasn't. And Doddy was somewhere like number 8 or number 10, which is ludicrous. Doddy was the Pele of the entertainment business. He was, without a shadow, he was the Muhammad Ali. No praise is good enough for Doddy. He stood alone.
Even I'm too young to remember the start of when I became aware of Ken Dodd, because he's just always been there, you know, since I was like little. It's like asking me, when did I first become aware of the sun or the moon or wind? I don't mean passing wind, although if Ken is looking down at us, he will be saying, no, go for the gag about the wind. Do the wind gag.
I can remember the smile. I can remember going into the room, into the studio probably, feeling extremely nervous, and there was this wonderful warmth coming out of him, like a fire, a light all round him. And I was on my best behavior, which I did have then in my repertoire, best behavior, but I knew that I was going to love this man for the rest of my life, and I did.
I think the first time I ever heard Ken Dodd was on television when I was about 12 or 13 years old. And he was doing a spot on television. I don't know how long it was, but it was just that thing of joke, 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 everyone in absolute hysterics. And I remember him doing this brilliant thing where the audience laughed, and then there was one of those stray laughers. Ah, ha, ha! You know, was deaf, and he sort of clocks this person and then said, I paid for another one over there, over the other side. And I thought this was, you know, the fact that I really remember that as, oh my goodness, that's hilarious.
Do you know, I think I first became aware of Ken Dodd when I was about 7. My sister was going to take me to the London Palladium because I was already obsessed with the theatre. And she took me and we sat in the stalls, and I'll never forget it, because not only did I very nearly wet myself laughing and continue to do so until very recently, but I realised that there were people in the world who looked like me, and that you could be successful and very, very funny. we came out of the theatre and she said, what did you think? And I said, well, I want to be Ken Dodd when I grow up. So the next day she took me to see Laurence Olivier.
To have somebody who is well versed and well knowledgeable about his own art, and that's quite rare. You know, there's one thing being able to do it, and it's another thing being very academic about it. But then to have those two things going in your head, then he knew exactly what he was doing. You know, it's like the perfect puppet master, the perfect puppeteer, where he's got the audience there, but he's got all the tools in his head how to make that work.
One of the things you associate with Ken is fun with F-U-N in capitals.
In all my favourite comics, to some degree, want to look silly. And nobody encapsulates that more than Ken Dodd. He comes out, everything about him. I mean, his hair, I'm guessing his hair wasn't like that on a day-to-day basis at home. And I love that. I love the fact that he's embracing the idea that I'm going to look an absolute fool, you know. And of course, the great irony being that it takes a sort of level of intelligence and genius to embrace that and do that so brilliantly well, whilst at the same time looking like you don't even know how to put your socks on.
He would surprise you. I mean, I'm just trying to think of he'd be in the middle of a sort of riff, as it were, of something, and then all of a sudden, Madam would come on with a picnic basket, and he said, "Oh, glad you brought that. I hope you've all brought yours." I mean, things like that. I just, oh God.
He would come on and it would be bang, 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 bang. You know, this kind of, you know, machine gun. Just one joke after the other, you know, and that brilliant timing of he'd do the joke, they'd get the laugh, and just as the laugh was hitting that, you know, beginning to see be banging, you know, like it's like, you know, comics talk about killing an audience, and it is that you're kind of being punched around the face, and just as you're coming to another one and another one.
They're all off the back of each other sometimes in a sort of way that makes it sound almost as though he's told one joke in 7 parts, like 7 punchlines, you know. And each one has got an and then and you know.
It was a mismatch of many things. You know, he was his look was like some sort of, I don't know, Victorian freak show because he was so crazy looking. His gags were both sort of traditionally variety hall, but also he had a sort of, both his look and some of his gags were quite surreal. You know, he was sort of like a Salvador Dali Christmas cracker.
There is absolutely no doubt that Ken was the king of jesters for the last couple of 100 years, without a doubt. I mean, his was the crown.
He's a legend. He is, and that word is bandied around far too freely. This is the man who his experience, his ability, his comic timing, his singing, his acting, everything he did for a purpose, and it was to make people happy. I mean, what greater gift can you leave, or legacy can you leave to humankind than that?
When I think of him, my heart lifts, and I just smile. Sorry, I'm making myself cry. But I do. He brought happiness and laughter wherever he went. He did. Really.
Some lovely comments there, Sam, and it just shows you, doesn't it, that he's influenced so many comedians and so many actors, people who love being in this business. You know, Lee and lovely Harry Hilder, you know, he influenced them and made them want to do what they do.
But I used to love what Ken used to always say about the audience. He didn't perform at the audience, he performed with the audience, which is a really interesting way of looking at it. So as part of Doddy Day, we wanted to bring the audience in, not literally, because we're not allowed. No, so we did it in a different way by asking people to send in their favourite jokes.
Okay.
And we got some amazing entries.
Yeah.
We whittled it down to our top 5, and we're going to be announcing the winner later on. But first of all, let's take a look at jokes 5 and 4.
Here they are.
What's your favourite lesson to do? Spelling.
What did the ocean say to the other ocean? Nothing. They just waved.
Great jokes there, weren't they?
They're brilliant.
Fantastic.
I'm worried about the level of quality that these kids are providing, because I'm going to have to, I pay the mortgage doing stand-up, and I don't think there's going to be any work left for me.
They can write for me any day they want to.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
So another great part of Doddy Day is that we worked with Royal Court Liverpool, National Museums Liverpool, and we set the 2 head chefs a very special challenge.
What was that challenge?
Well, that challenge was to create the best jam butty cake they could possibly bake in a very special Doddy Day bake-off.
Wow.
So what we did is we worked with the chefs, they came along, they made the cakes, we had Lady Anne Dodd as one of the judges, and we also worked with Ellis Barry from Ready Steady Cook and the Great British Menu.
Great.
So why don't we have a look at how they got on?
That's a real tongue twister, that, the Doddy Day bake-off.
Yeah, try saying that 3 times after 4 gins.
Well, this is a very special day in memory of Ken, and for Bake Off, for Doddy's Day, we have the top chef, Ellis Barry, to help me judge the cake.
So today we're after a jam butty cake, not a jam butty, a cake, but a jam butty cake, and we want it well executed, loads of creativity. We want it to pay homage to the late Sir Ken Dodd and Doddy's Day, so that's what we're looking for. We want passion, creativity, and a whole lot of love going into this food. Let's meet the chefs.
Yes, super.
Hi, my name's Dave. I'm a head chef at the Royal Court. I've worked here for over 12 years. At the moment we've only got limited background with baking, but we're trying to make a nice cake for you today.
I'm James, head chef at National Museums Liverpool, looking after 6 different museums across Liverpool City. I'm from Essex originally, been up in Liverpool now for 8 years.
It'd be great to win the competition, just to obviously honour Ken. At one point he made a fundraiser, actually saved Royal Court in the 70s, so it'd be great to honour him, and he's an important part in the history of the Royal Court.
I would be really keen to win the first Doddy Day Bake Off. Being a new event, being from outside of Liverpool, I think it'd be a good honour to win.
Ready,
steady, bake.
Today is a big day for the chefs with the first annual Doddy Day cake competition. Huge pressure as they only have 4 hours to make homemade jam and complete their masterpieces.
I'm going to do a 2-tier mixed spice cake with a hazelnut buttercream. I'm going to make a wild berry and amaretto jam. Decorate the top with a tribute to Ken Dodd, hopefully nice and simple. Okay, so this basically will start off with a 4-egg cake batter. Okay, so these are the spices that we're going to be using: baking powder, some mixed spice, and some cinnamon, just to give them awesome flavours. I've got to remember those important things, buttermilk at the end. I forgot that the other day as well. I'm most nervous about something going wrong in terms of the actual bake. The cake itself maybe sinking in the middle. I haven't had that happen so far, but now will be the time. So this is going to be 1/2 of my cake. And what I'll do is I'll just spread that before I put it in the oven, so it's just across the entire pan. So I've just noticed my first amateur mistake. Forgot to put the buttermilk in the mix, so we've got to try and sort that out dead quick. Wondering why as well. I was looking at the mix, I was like, that's the same as yesterday, so...
Oh no, I hope that doesn't cost him.
Because obviously the batter's been messed about with a bit more. I'll probably use this for my jam butties.
Let's see how James is getting on.
So my vision for the cake is a classic take on the jam butty. I'm going to do a giant jam butty, which is 2 slices of bread filled with jam, incorporating all the elements that I've learned about Doddy. The jam butty mines, diddy men, knotty ash.
James has an ambitious plan. Simple flavour, big idea.
James is a little worried about the oven because it's a little bit slow, and of course it's a very big cake he's baking, so he doesn't want to end up with one of those soggy bottoms.
Cakes in the oven, hope they cook quick enough, hope they have enough time. Time for the jam.
I've had to change my mind on the original spec for the jam, so I'm hoping to do a wild berry and amaretto jam. Wild blueberries, blackberries, sugar, maple syrup, maybe add some gelatin to help it set. The blueberries are really sour, quite sharp, so I've added an Italian buttercream which is quite sweet, so I'm hoping this will cut through that. I hope it'll be a nice combination of flavours. I'm only going to add a tiny bit of balsamic glaze to that just to help with the sharpness.
He's got one more surprise up his sleeve for the judges.
Okay, so I'm just going to add the amaretto now. I'll do it quite generous because I want to make sure it tastes it at the end.
Jam it in there.
And I'm going to let it reduce. Maybe a bit too much amaretto, and that's so I hope the Bellis likes his di Serrano.
So Dave's got a challenge with the jam. He's got to either get that pectin level up or put enough gelatin in there and allow it to cool down quick enough before he whacks it onto the sponge, because we don't want that going all over the place.
So my jam is quite traditional. It had to be, for me, a red fruit, strawberry, raspberry. It had to be sticking with a classic butty. I put a little twist and I'm using rose water and a little bit of lemon to cut through the sweetness of it. Originally, I didn't quite know what people were talking about at the jam butty mines in Notty Ash, but after researching it and looking into it, I learned a little bit more about them. Still yet to find them.
Looks like a Tattafalarius jam.
About half an hour away. They are rising and they're starting to colour quite evenly actually, but I am just going to have to turn it up a little fraction. It'll set me back a while. The biggest thing is not them being cooked, but is the cooling down of the cake. Very hard to ice it with buttercream when the cake's still warm. They look good. Are they little loaves of bread for the jam butties?
Is James starting to feel the pressure here? Cracks are beginning to show. Dave is ahead of the game. Has James bitten off more than he can chew? Find out in part 2.
Whoa, I tell you what, Sam, it was getting tense there, wasn't it?
Very tense. I'm not sure I can take any more, but if you would like to watch some more and hear more from Ken's celebrity fans, Harry Hill and Lee Mack, plus loads of other stuff, click on the link for part 2.
Click on that link now.